What if your totally perfect safety record is actually just a massive warning sign in disguise? Welcome to a special briefing right here from the Human Error News Network. If you're a senior safety exec tuning in right now, you already know the space between a close call and an absolute catastrophe is, well, it's razor thin. Today, we're investigating exactly what happens when that margin literally completely disappears, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it.
Seriously, think about this. What if the absolute best way to prevent a catastrophic human error is to assume your absolute best, most compliant operator out there is going to make a critical mistake today? You spend millions, literally millions, on training and rules and compliance, yet simple human distraction, it's still your biggest, most uncontrollable wildcard. Before we unpack the solution here, make sure you hit subscribe to our internal safety alerts so you can keep these vital briefings coming directly to your desk.
Okay, let's look at the facts. March 14, 2024, Burlington, Ontario. 1702, a GO Transit commuter train rolls out of Aldershot Station. Literally 1 minute later, at 1703, it just blows right past the stop signal. By 1704, it enters a mainline track without any authority, heading right into the path of another train barreling toward it at 54 miles per hour. Finally, at 1705, both crews realize what's happening, they slam on the brakes, and they halt just 549 feet apart. I mean, that is incredibly close.
TSB Chair Jan Marie put it perfectly. He said, in this occurrence, a catastrophic collision involving 400 passengers was narrowly averted. Over 400 lives on the line, and you know what the investigation found? No malice, no catastrophic mechanical failure, zero. Just a totally routine, everyday departure that almost ended in historic tragedy.
So, why did this happen? Well, the investigation revealed the crew simply expected the signal to be clear, just based on their past experience. The conductor was focused on a tablet. The engineer, dealing with an equipment issue in the cab. That is it. Simple, everyday distraction. Listen, we are all fighting this exact same battle against routine and fatigue in our operations. It's just human nature to expect systems to behave like they usually do, and our brains, they just go on autopilot.
But here is the really hard truth the TSB pointed out, and honestly, it forces us to rethink everything. In rail, and really in most industries, we rely super heavily on administrative defenses. The rules, the training, checklists, telling people to just follow the signals. But there are strict limits to administrative defenses that rely entirely on human compliance. Because when human compliance inevitably fails, you need physical fail-safes, systems that automatically step in to stop the danger. So how on earth do we bridge this massive gap between human frailty and system resilience?
Let's get into Section 1, the Accountability Desk, Transparency in Action.
So how does an organization handling nearly 49 million rail customers a year actively manage this margin of human error? Simple. They open the books. Metrolinx actually noted that transparency is more than a principle. It is accountability in action. By making this really deliberate choice to publish their safety report publicly for the very first time, they aren't just, sharing data. They're actively inviting scrutiny from the government, their partners, and the communities they serve. Because public reporting totally strengthens organizational accountability, forcing a culture of just continuous, relentless improvement.
All right, moving to Section 2, the engineering solution, defending against error. How do we actively prevent these near misses when we absolutely know humans are eventually going to make mistakes? Well, by engineering down the risk. Get this, Metrolinx achieved a massive 22.8% reduction in cumulative grade crossing safety risk by the end of this fiscal year. Grade crossings are literally the ultimate intersections of human error, right? It's where trains, cars, and pedestrians interact every single day. Driving down risk by nearly a quarter? Yeah, that doesn't happen by just crossing your fingers and asking people to be extra careful.
And it's not just the external public risk they're engineering down. They also drove a 26.2% decrease in the lost time injury frequency rate, or the LTIFR. That is huge. This proves that despite over 34 million hours of work completed across a massive, super complex transit network, severe workplace injuries remain incredibly infrequent when you have the right collaborative systems actively defending your people.
So how exactly are they driving these numbers down? Okay, first, they're using new remote monitoring systems for real-time tracking. This dramatically improves system reliability without having to rely on human eyes to spot a flaw. Second, they're doing way more frequent audits of signaling equipment to catch issues early. And third, they're actively stepping out to educate the public, partnering up with law enforcement to host over 7 rail safety pop-up events during Rail Safety Week. Now, right now,
I want you to ask yourself, what administrative defenses are you relying on in your own operation today that desperately need an audit this week? Take action on that today. Seriously.
Up next, Section 3, Award-Winning Safety Cultures.
Now, technology is completely useless without a culture that actually supports it, right? Metrolinx's proactive approach didn't just prevent accidents. It actually earned them the recent WSIB Excellence Award for Canada's Best Health and Safety Culture, plus the Canadian Workplace Well-Being Award. When you shift your organization away from reactive punishment and move toward proactive hazard identification, the entire culture transforms. It is definitive proof that this proactive methodology absolutely works for the people right there on the ground.
Let's look at Section 4, the forward outlook, engineering out error.
The TSB has made it incredibly clear, while interim measures and a good culture are great, we need long-term physical solutions to actually stop trains and save lives. Metrolinx set a strategic objective to go way beyond Transport Canada's regulatory requirements by targeting a massive 33% reduction in grade crossing safety risk by 2026. You do not hit ambitious long-term numbers like that without fundamentally changing how your entire infrastructure operates.
So here are the forward-looking strategies they've planned for the upcoming fiscal year to actually make that happen. By 2026, they're deploying the first locomotive equipped with autonomous track inspection systems, or ATIS. This is going to continuously assess track health in real time, drastically reducing the risk of relying on visual human inspections. They're also expanding wheel impact load detectors, WILD, to automatically catch equipment stress right over the internet. And they're developing these green zone working protocols to physically limit or even completely eliminate workers' exposure to train movements. They're systematically engineering the human variable right out of the danger zone.
You've been briefed by the Human Error News Network. We've seen how absolutely vital physical fail-safes are to preventing a total catastrophe when human compliance inevitably reaches its limit. But I want to leave you with this. Ask yourself, if a computer catches 99% of our errors, what happens to human vigilance for that fatal 1%? What happens when the automated safety designed to save us is the exact same thing that lulls our operators right back to sleep?